Let's see if we got this up here. Hey, is anybody in here, you mother fathers? All right, we're here. John, you here?
I'm here.
All right, let's go. Let's do it. Hey, hop in the chat. Ask questions if you got them. Nick's here. DePeach is here. Woody for the win is here. Delbert's here. Pentrini, the Italian pasta maker, he also here. It's sad to see that we don't have this Swiss man Jean Gustafsson here. So we're just gonna have to deal with not having every European country represented. And I will tell you, you guys have never seen him in person, but JohnGaltJD kind of looks like a descendant of a Scandinavian Viking. There you go. You heard it here first.
I'm not even sure how to take that. I'm not sure what that even means.
I mean, I think it's just the blonde hair, man. Yeah, I just don't meet many blondes. I live in Oklahoma. Everybody's brown hair here. Seeing a blonde, you look like a fucking Viking to me. I don't know.
My wife won't even give me credit for being blonde.
What does she call it?
She calls it brown. She dyes her hair much lighter than this. Her true hair color, less the gray, is much lighter than this, and our son is much lighter.
What do you call it? Do you call it blonde? It looks blonde to me.
I mean, I would have called it light brown or dark blonde, I guess. But you know.
Okay, I know you guys are here for the hair color takes, so we're gonna get to it. So, John, I'm gonna let John start out. John said he really loves the slate tonight so much that he's strongly considering maxing the Millie Maker slate because I guess he's got hot takes tonight. So I'm dying to hear it. Let's just get started with that. What's your hot take tonight?
I don't know. It's necessarily a hot take as much as I think this is like a pretty good slate from a GPP perspective. In that I really like Cup Captain. I think everyone likes Cup Captain, but like I'm happy to play like 60% Cup. I only really like Cup Captain, and then I'll probably sprinkle in like a little bit of Debo, probably have more Wilson Captain, and then a little bit of Higbee Captain, but that's about it. So I like playing tight captain pool. I'll probably, if I play 150, I'll still probably only play 3 to 4 captains. And then I think there's some leverage to be had on the other end of the slate. I think the defenses have a good opportunity in this game, even against like a Cup Captain. You could play the Niners defense. I think that's totally fine.
Definitely.
I think it's also interesting that because of Cup being so expensive, I'm actually pretty okay not playing quarterbacks on this slate. Like I've already built some lineups that go like Cup Captain, Debo, a defense, a kicker, and then one other pass catcher or like a running back. And you don't need to play a quarterback at all because I think
Mm-hmm. All right, they said they just lost audio on you, so let's see if we got talk again. Nope. I hear you, but they can't.
Well, shit.
Oh wait, it's that oh shit was there. It looks like you're back to me.
So I'm coming through with the important stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, is the audio back fully now?
Yeah, I see you moving on my OBS again, so it looks like you're back to me.
Okay, where did it cut off because I feel like I was dropping all my slate knowledge right there.
You were talking about let's just pick it back up at the tight core at captain, and then then you were talking about Debo also getting there without dragging Garoppolo across the finish line.
Yeah, or how generally I don't think you necessarily need to play quarterbacks in this slate. I think you can play Cup without Stafford because they're so consolidated and because he's so expensive. And then same with Debo. I think Debo both like is getting 20+% rushing share, which is crazy for a wide receiver, on top of like having a consolidated target tree in the San Francisco offense as well. And so if most of the offensive production goes through Debo and Cup, you don't necessarily need their quarterbacks as well. I also like playing the defenses against the skill position captain there. So I think Cup with the Niners as your defense, as one of the other flex position players is pretty viable. Like these defenses play each other pretty hard. Both these defenses are pretty talented. Generally, offensive production is going to be limited in these games. And so I think this is a pretty good slate to play defenses. And like you could easily have a pick 6 or a turnover fumble recovery 6 that becomes optimal against like a consolidated Debo captain or a Cup captain. So I'm probably going to play 60% Cup and then I will play a little bit of Debo, a little bit of Wilson.
When you say 60% cup, that's 60% at captain, not 60% overall.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll probably actually have 100% cup overall.
I'll
probably play.
I even said that on the Showdown Hoedown. I just don't see how the fuck cup doesn't get there. Outside of an injury, there's just no way he's not at least a flex player.
Yeah, I may do like 90% cup overall. I can think of maybe doing like a 49er heavy team where cup doesn't get there. I think I would almost assuredly, if I'm not playing cup, I would play one of.
I like a 49er heavy team with only cup.
Oh yeah, I've built that plenty. Yeah. 5-1. I think that's definitely viable.
Hey, let's answer this question before I forget, because this is about answering their questions. So Richard says, Andrew Pritchard, I'm changing up my process, bankroll management, contest selection, etc. In a high dollar single entry, what would be your thought process on making only one lineup? Eat the chalk and pivot off one guy? I want to answer this first because I actually, on the Showdown Hoedown last night, it was like midnight when I was recording it, so I could post it this morning. I actually had a really good take, and as I said it, I was like, man, I wish John was here because I have a feeling he would like this take. And my take is that everybody thinks that getting unique with your lineup usually means just playing one fucking punt that nobody's playing, right? Kyle Juszczyk, Ray McLeod, whatever fucking slapdick you want to play. And my argument that I made on the Showdown Hoedown was, let's not get different by playing a fucking punt. Let's get different with our roster construction, right? And so I said, maybe you play 6 guys that are all really good plays. And what's a good play? A good play is a guy who's on the field a lot, right? A guy that gets a lot of targets, a guy that gets a lot of touches. And so you say, well, then my lineup would be chalky. Well, maybe you are playing 6 chalky guys, but you play them in a way that's not chalky. And how do you do that? Well, you go look and you say, hey, I'm going to play 5 Rams tonight and run it back with 1 49er. And you by doing that, not hardly anybody is going to build a 5-1 onslaught of Rams. So right there, you're already differentiating from 99.5% of the field. And by doing that, now you have 6 good guys in your lineups, no fucking punts, and you have a lineup that is dramatically different than almost everybody else in the contest. So that would be my piece of advice, is really consider onslaught so then you can get 6 good players on there as opposed to playing 5 guys in some wild fucking punt that, let's face it, they get there, 1 out of 50 times? What do you think, John? Am I crazy, man?
I think it really depends on the size of the contest you're playing. So if you're playing a truly big field contest, you do need to consider some of those punts because like that's how you have an opportunity to like increase your EV through like. But
is there any massive fields that are he's doing a single entry? What's the biggest single entry?
No. So going to answer this specific question, no. So for single entries, I mean there is like a 35,000 runner one, but anyways, to answer the specific question on single entries. I think just an alternative construction or even just the playing at a different captain. You can still pay the chalk pieces and just playing a slightly different captain. Like, for instance, Cup tonight, I imagine will be 20 plus, 22, 23% owned a captain.
Mm-hmm. Which is very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Yeah, that's why I said I'll probably play 60%. But so you could play someone like George Kittle at like 5% or Higbee at 5%. Or even Jeff Wilson, who like got the vast majority of their running back production for the Niners at like 8%. And so you can just slightly change your construction. You can still play Cup, but just play him in the flex because he's super expensive. And so like you can get a totally unique, viable roster where Cup still has a great game and just isn't optimal because he costs almost $20,000 at the captain position.
There you go, Andrew. That's kind of some things we're thinking. You can play the one guy punt if you want, but I think you need to listen to what John said there. If you're playing in that one that has 35,000 people in it, well, then maybe you build a different roster construction and you do a punt. But if you're playing in one that we're talking 2,000 or 3,000 entries, I think you can just really get different by playing a 5-1 onslaught or playing a differentiated captain like John said. So that would answer your question, Andrew. We gave a long
go back
answer.
Real quick, even doing like a couple thousand person field, I think you can actually like still play the chalky captain. I think you can play the chalky whatever. That's like a pretty small field generally, especially for Showdown. And so I wouldn't actually be too terribly worried in that field size. The only thing I would do is I would not play like the chalk optimal or whatever. Like whatever the optimal projections are spitting out as like the projected optimal. I wouldn't play that. But as long as you're like deviating from that, you should be fine in like 1,000 person field.
I concur. All right. Sorry. I think I fired up a video in the middle of it. Peter Over said I was watching his video this morning. Okay. Let's see here. Let me get back over to the chat. Sorry, I got chaos over here. Nick says I was close yesterday. Pumped for today. Yeah, Nick's doing way too many lineups today. He's already told me. Early ownership is showing Cup 2x Matty. That will be in the captain spot. It'll probably be 3x. Delbert just lost. That's all the old shit. Okay, we back him. I'm treating
2x2. I'm sorry, say that again.
On which one?
Cup's going to be 2 times the ownership of who?
Matty Stafford.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't know how you could play Stafford
and not play him.
Yeah, especially a captain. You can't play Stafford captain. I just don't think you can play Stafford captain, honestly.
I hate it. Matter of fact, he's the worst leverage play on the board by far.
Because he just doesn't get there. When he has a huge game, I just don't see him having a huge game that doesn't go through Cup. It's so unlikely. Yeah, it can happen. We can have the 2-touchdown Higbee, 2-touchdown Allen Robinson, Cup sits on the bench game, but that game doesn't happen a lot.
All right, Nick says that I'm stacking Debo as a running back. I'm treating him as a running back, so I'm not stacking him with a quarterback. Is that short-sighted on Nick's part?
Oh, no. I think that's totally viable, especially with Debo. I think, actually, even with Cup, I'm okay playing him without Stafford because we talked about the salary being so expensive. I'm not sure how much of that was cut off when I was talking earlier, but no, I think it's totally viable to play both those guys without their quarterback.
All right, DePeach says I don't want much Jimmy at all. You agree with him?
Yes, but also Jimmy's going to be so under-owned relative to quarterbacks typically on slates. So we're getting Jimmy at a fairly expensive price tag for a quarterback. Compared to what we have seen, because we've seen some of these lower tier quarterbacks at 8,700, 9,100, and we're getting Jimmy at 10. And Jimmy's pretty crap fantasy wise.
Yep.
So he's totally viable to fade. Absolutely. My instinct is to be no, Jimmy sucks. Don't play Jimmy. But also he's going to come in. Sorry.
With the generic inputs, he's the highest leverage player on the slate.
Yeah, because he's a quarterback, right? And so he has a really good chance to score 15 or 17 or whatever it takes. And if this is a low scoring slate, that 15 or 17 is probably optimal, even though he costs 10K.
Yep.
But you can play him against the quarterback. He can be in your flex, and you're against a defense. I mean, you can play the Rams flex and Jimmy in your flex. That's totally fine.
Mr. Pentrini, thoughts on Ayuk as captain? I'll answer this one first. I have a strong take. I love guys like Ayuk at captain. One big bomb, 4 catches, and one of them being a big bomb touchdown. He is almost a nuts play usually at captain. However, I would only play him in scripts that make sense, right? If you're thinking it's going to be kind of a slog, low-scoring game, I don't know if Ayuk's getting a lot of bomb opportunities and certainly not catching them, right? So if you are coming up with your game script, which I got to tell you right now, I'm kind of leaning on a Rams blow them the fuck out game script because I don't think many people are going to play it. And it's a good way for me to be different right off the bat. And in that one, I would be willing to run it back with Ayuk because in a game where they're passing a lot and they're just going to be chunking it down the field, maybe you get lucky and he gets there in the fourth quarter or something. That's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think, John?
I'm playing a tight script, so I've run Sims both ways with both teams winning, but mostly I'm looking at an under and real tight. So within a couple points, either way I've run. So a lot of 7-14 games.
Real
20,
low.
10.
Real low.
Yeah, I got this as an under and tight. So that's mostly what I'm building.
Who are the optimals that are popping up when you're running that really low game script? I have to imagine the kickers and the defenses are getting there a lot. Probably running backs.
The highest flex leverage for me is Gay, is my number one flex leverage. Mm-hmm. Then Wilson, the Rams defense, and then Akers, presuming that the Rams are going to let him get a higher work share.
Basically every person I would have thought of so far.
Yep, and then captain-wise, it's guys you would have thought of.
Cup still gets there, because even in a low-scoring game, he'll fucking find 9 catches for 104 yards.
His floor is 15 points.
It really is.
If this is a low scoring game, then that floor is still good enough.
Literally any script you come up with, I see Cup getting there. It's crazy. He's just
look, we say all that, and here's how it can happen. You can have 1 touchdown pass to Allen Robinson, 1 touchdown pass to Cup, 1 touchdown pass to Higbee, and Stafford is now your optimal captain. But that is such an outlier game in my opinion, and saying it doesn't seem like that much of an outlier game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just really not how this offense operates. And also, you would probably imagine Cup would still have 10 catches in that, and so 10 PPR points plus he's probably hitting the over 100 boner. I think Cup still gets there.
Yep. All right, let's get through these questions because then I got some questions for you about general stuff. I can see both defenses getting 4 sacks. These O-lines are terrible, and the D-lines are great. Well, Nick, I think that the over-under really seems to support that, right? 41.5 is disgusting when you're not really impacted by weather or anything.
And I really like the under.
Yeah. I mean, I can already tell you're already starting to sway my ass. Andrew, thanks, guys. I'd rather be safe with 6 guys with high usage. Andrew, if I'm playing a single entry, I want 6 motherfathers on the field. So I agree with you. Especially if I'm playing, it's a 2,000 person single entry. I definitely want to have guys that are on the field. Nick says, I run a lot of cup at captain with 5 Niners. Thoughts? Tell us how that one could get there, John, or if it even could. Cup at captain, 5 Niners.
That's super consolidated because if Cup gets there, Stafford still has to score like 10 or 12, right? So then you would need Debo to have a game. You'd probably need Ayuk and Wilson to have a game. And then Garoppolo obviously would have to come along too. So there's 4 that would all have to outscore. Sorry?
Yeah, but then you could also run, the 49ers defense and 49ers kicker, right?
I think you would have to have the Niners defense because Stafford would have to have gotten picked off a few times to lower his points. That would help lower his points.
Yeah.
So I do like playing the Niners defense in there. It's definitely possible, and it would be unique as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're playing the big field lotto, I don't hate it. But I would be thoughtful about who you're including because you need to think they all need to outscore at least point per dollar, need to outscore Stafford.
Here you go, Nick. I could come up with a scenario where that lineup hits, like a game script where that plays out. And if I can have that, if I could see a game script how it could play out, where Kupp could be the captain, the highest scoring guy, get there, and I could run it back with 5 Niners, then I'm open to it. If I run that script in my head and I'm like, there's just no fucking way this could get there, right? Like I would never run a Matthew Stafford at captain and then run it back with 5 49ers. I would say that's almost impossible for that lineup to actually get there. And so that's what I'm saying. Like if I run that in my head and I say there's no way that could get there, it's like almost a mathematical certainty, well, then I don't consider it.
That's exactly right. And even more so, this is exaggerated in this slate because Kupp is so expensive and the offense is so consolidated that it like becomes those kind of outlier things that in a normal slate just seem kind of absurd become even more likely to occur in this type of a slate.
There it is. DePeach says, damn it. That's right, damn it. Great song, Blink-182. Marlon Mack may get some run tonight, but that's a super punt. That's what Nick says. I didn't know about the Marlon Mack.
Did he even get activated off the practice squad for sure? Because I saw someone talking about that earlier.
Well, he's right here on Run the Sims, and they're usually pretty on top of that shit. So they got him in the flex rate at 2%.
All right, I think I zeroed him out on my runs because
Yeah.
They also have the other guy that they like, the rookie, whoever the fuck his name is, Mason.
Yeah. Wait, he's out, isn't he? Wait, the
Price Niners.
No, I'm thinking of Price Davis.
Oh no, he died. He's
dead. So this becomes a 2 viable defense night. Well,
I've already built some lineups.
He said 2 viable Ds. I don't know if he would have 2 viable.
I don't know what you're into, my man, but
the beach, all right? I mean, I guess, hey, we're not here to judge.
Or my lady, I don't know. Whatever,
if it's a 2D night for you, okay. We're going to stop being
But no, I have built lineups, plenty of lineups with like Kupp, Debo, both defenses, a kicker, and then,
I love that build. I really do. You're kind of warming me up to that. Just play that it's going to be Debo and Kupp are going to be usage monsters, but other than that, it's a slow, boring as fuck game.
Yeah.
And you're going to you'll probably end up with a lot of money left on the table in that game too. Even with Kupp at captain and Debo, if you're going to go with like 2 defenses and a kicker, you're going to end up with some money left on the table with that build.
Especially if you're not going to play a quarterback as your other.
Yeah, exactly.
Last spot.
All right. Mr. Petrini, one of the 49ers games that the 49ers have won were blowouts. So that's been 1-score games, and the other 5 games the Rams are 1-6, like in the last 7. Hey, that's a perfect transition. Can you please explain to me? I guess I just don't. I live in the DFS world so much. Why are the 49ers favored over the Rams? What the fuck am I missing?
Yeah, especially with Garoppolo quarterback, I don't like that. I like my most built game script is the Rams win a close game, like 17-14. 17-10 type game. So I like the Ram side and I like the under. So I can't give you a good answer on that one.
Yeah, when I just assumed last night when I was making the Showdown Hoedown that the Rams were favored. And then when I went and looked, I was like, oh, fuck, 49ers are favored. So shit, I'll just go with the Rams onslaught. It surprises me.
Yeah, the Niners are at home. I guess that's at least 3 points of it.
Yeah, that's what they always say. Team 1 to 5 basically a pick 'em. No, yeah, 1.5 is basically a pick 'em, but I would have thought the Rams by a field goal. The beach. Niners defense last week we did it. Sicko, you're a sicko to Peach. Nick, Mason is, but pay attention to a lot goes with the team. They're saying Shanahan doesn't trust Mason, so Mac may get some run tonight.
Okay.
That's hey, good info, Nick. We're here for all of it. So there you go.
I mean, in my 150, I may throw like 3% Mason in or something. I mean, I've heard of worse shit happening.
Mac.
Mac in, yeah.
I mean, some have called him Mac Daddy. Hey, Chris, what's up, brother? What's an acceptable amount of salary to leave on the table? Well, I'll answer this one first, and then I'll kick it over to John. Tonight, I really think because the spend-up options, in my opinion, tonight aren't great. I mean, Debo and Cup are nice, but I'm not fucking too excited to put $10,000 out there for Jimmy G. This is a night where if I'm building a build, especially that one where John's talking about, where I think it's going to be low scoring and kind of a slog, I would leave $3,000 on the table and not think twice about it. It wouldn't bother me tonight. And normally I'm not a kind of guy that does that. But if that gets me to 2 defenses, a kicker, the 2 usage monsters and Samuel and Cup, and then fill it out with whoever, Higbee, Kittle, whoever you think, I'm okay leaving $3,000 on the table. What say you, John?
So tonight, I think the answer is like any amount is okay. And Showdown, generally, I'm generally okay leaving any amount. Like provided you're not like, just building lineups that absolutely don't make any sense or anything, like just all backups or some shit. But if you're putting in like viable lineups, I don't have a problem leaving any amount of salary in Showdown.
Yeah, and by the way, when he says any amount, if you have $45,000 left because you're playing Juice Check and Ray McLeod and the fucking Mac, you don't get it, brother. You don't get it.
Yeah, not all those guys together, yeah.
You play one of those guys in your lineup. Here's a good rule. Tell me if I'm wrong on this, John. There is no reason that you should have more than one guy in a lineup under 2,400 or less. Like, give me a lineup where 2 of those guys get there.
Today that is.
So basically, like,
I'm not putting more than. I think that's.
Why would you put Juice Check and Ray McLeod in a lineup together, or Jawan Jennings, who I kind of like actually? Jawan Jennings. Why would you put him and who the fuck ever, Brandon Powell in a lineup together? Get the fuck out of here. Especially with the pricing the way it is tonight, I think you only want to play one of these guys. Once you get below the Rams defense at 3,600, I don't think that you play any guy under 3,600 more than one of them in a lineup. That's my take for you. If you're playing 2 of them in there, I think you're getting cute just for the sake of getting cute. That's my opinion. Deal with it.
I think that's totally right. I think that I'll have the same cutoff there, that Powell down.
Yeah, now one of them is not so bad. That's a great way to get different. It's a punt, but you only want one punt. It's hard enough for one punt to get there. Now you're wanting 2 punts to get there when you don't need to do that. I'd just rather get different some other way. That's how I'd rather do it, Bob. All right, Mr. Pentrini. Yep. Mr. Pentrini, I think it has to do with the Rams losing 6 in a row to the 49ers and only the Rams with the NFC champ. Hey, there you go. Strokes gained, mind fucking. There we go. Straight from Pentrini. Rams have both Stafford and Goff games in there. Okay, yeah, Goff sucks. Christian, my man. Wait, should I say Christian? I think he's from across the pond. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's Irish. Christian, am I making that up? Aren't you from the little island over there? All right, playing both of the quarterbacks in the same lineup, is that unique tonight? I do think that is pretty unique for compared to what it normally is, right? Most people, I would say that's probably a build that happens about 10% of the time. I think that number could be closer to like 5 or 6% of lineups that will have both quarterbacks in there tonight. Do you agree or disagree with me, John?
Yeah, totally agree. Compared to a normal slate, the quarterback ownership is going to be way under. So double quarterback relative to what it normally owned will be way under owned.
Gotcha. By the way, yeah. Christian did just confirm that he's Irish. Irish.
I'm sure they love it.
By the way, what fucking time is it in Ireland? Isn't it like 9 o'clock there right now or something? 9 or 10 o'clock? What time does the game come on in Ireland? Like 2 in the morning? Fucking you go hard, Christian. You go hard, brother. All right, Nick wants to know, Jimmy GQ hardly has 2 bad games back to back, but I question if he cares to win the team try to get rid of him. I think these guys are professionals, Nick. I think he wants to do well. I think he likes money, and he's probably a competitive dude. You buying that narrative at all, John?
I don't really buy many narratives, but in terms of competitors not wanting to compete, I don't think that's true. Even if he wants to showcase himself for future contracts, I mean, I think selfishly he has motivation to perform.
All right, here's a great question. I'm going to use this to get off of the chat here for a minute. The Peach wants to know, so for a 20 max, what size is your player pool? This is something me and you are going to do right now for him, John. This is going to be our big teaching point tonight. Because if you guys don't know, the big guy's only got not me. John, his kid has baseball night, so he's got to go here in the next few minutes. So let's answer this one. Let's make this our big teaching point. Let's pick a narrative, and then let's go put all of the players that we would put in that player pool. Because off the top of my head, for a 20 max player pool fitting one of my scripts, I would say off the top of my head, guesstimating 10 to 12 guys would be in that rotation.
Yeah, so what's really interesting about that question is I think it's more important to limit the captain ownership in a 20 set, because in a showdown, like pretty much playing any of these guys are viable, like you said, in the right script. So more or less, I would limit the scripts I played, and that would probably determine, one, the captains that I played would be limited, and two, the pool would then be somewhat more limited.
All right, so let's pick a script. You say you really like this script, that the game is kind of a low-scoring slog tonight, right? You literally are predicting like a 14-7 on the under, right? I mean,
Yep.
maybe not
or
that dramatic.
17-10, but give or take, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. If you're picking the under on a 41.5, you clearly believe it's going to be a bit of a slapdick fest. So let's go through, and I'll just say, you tell me in that build if the player's viable, yes or no. Like if you were only making 20 lineups with just that script, would you have this player in that lineup? Okay, you ready? We're gonna do this.
Let me clarify real quick. So, I mean, whether the player is viable is completely independent on whether or not they would make my limited 20 set. Because like any of these guys are viable in that in a low scoring game, 1 or 2 touchdowns is probably enough to get you a captain. So me just saying I wouldn't put him in my 20 set doesn't necessarily mean like they don't have a chance to making an optimal construction. But I just would be, since I'm playing 20, would want to have a limited pool. So go ahead.
All right, here we go. Cooper Kupp.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. No,
that might be my only captain in a 20 set.
Yeah. Debo in that slog.
That would probably be my next highest owned in a 20 set.
I agree. Jeff Wilson in that game script.
That might be my only other if I was playing 20. It's hard to do 3 and 20, but I'm considering doing only 3 and 150.
In that build, those are probably my 3 favorite plays. In that build, those would be my 3 favorite plays right there. All right, 100%. Jimmy Garoppolo in that build.
No. I'm not playing Jimmy Garoppolo in 300 lineups.
If I'm only doing 20, in that kind of a 14-7 game, I'm just going to hope that Jeff Wilson gets there and Debo gets there. And if either one of them get there and it's 14-7, how the fuck is Garoppolo going to get there? That'd be my question. So I'm going to have to say no. Matthew Stafford, yes or no?
Yes, but not a captain.
Okay, so you'd have him in flex because he could get there with 12 points or something like that, or maybe 15 points in the flex, throwing a touchdown to Kupp, right?
Yeah, or even Kupp can get there on 1 touchdown plus volume, and then like you could have 1 other touchdown to some other receiver. So it could be like Kupp captain, Stafford, and then 1 other pass catcher, and it's still only 17 points total scored.
All right, Higbee in that one.
Yes, in the flex, probably not in captain in that lineup.
I agree. George Kittle in that one.
Same answer. Probably yes in the flex, not in the captain.
Gay.
Yes, in the flex.
I agree.
Probably my highest owned flex player.
All right, now here's a good one. I feel like this is going to be the first one we disagree on. In a 14-7 script, do you like Brandon Ayuk?
I'm not going to have a lot of Ayuk generally today, so I probably don't. Maybe a decent, like maybe 20% in the flex or something, but overall, that would be probably it.
I'm not playing him. In that build, in that one, in that script. Cam Akers, yes or no?
Yeah, so I actually like Akers in that script a little bit as well.
I do too. 49ers defense, of course, right?
Yep.
Gold, the kicker, definitely, right?
Yep.
Rams, definitely, right?
Definitely.
49ers defense would definitely be in that rotation. Or would I already say them? Did I already say them?
Yep.
Oh, wait. Rams defense also would definitely be in there. Now, is there any other ones down here? So far in this player pool, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we got 11 guys in this player pool right now. Do you like any of these guys that we still haven't went over? Allen Robinson, Jennings, Skowerneck, Henderson, Juszczyk. Would any of those guys also fit into this one?
Yeah, so if you're playing a 20 max in like that massive field, right, I think you need to consider these guys. Like I like Juszczyk. He can catch the only San Francisco touchdown, right?
Yep. 3 catches, 23 yards, and a touchdown. He's definitely going to be in the optimal.
Exactly. Like same with I mean, that's probably my favorite cheap down there, but I guess Juwan Jennings is probably another good one that's pretty cheap that could get there, just on like pretty low volume at $2,000.
Yeah,
So if I was doing
four
20,
catches for 36 yards. You're almost guaranteed to get there with a 7.6 if it's a low scoring slog.
yeah, at 20 max, those would probably be my two biggest low chance to get there punts. But if I'm expanding to a 150 max, I'm also going to include like Dwelly, Mason, McLeod, Powell, Blanton. Those guys are all going to make my 150 max. But if I was limiting it to 20, I'd probably cut it off at the guys that are punts, but still value punts like Juszczyk and Jennings.
So to answer your question precisely, if I'm doing a 20 max tonight, I'm only considering in that script we're talking about, right? Whatever script you go with. We're not here to give you a fucking script. This is a script that John's throwing out there, but you also got to remember he's playing multiple scripts because he's going to play a shit ton of lineups because he's a degenerate motherfather. But in the one we were talking about, a low-scoring game, we basically said there was 3 guys that we would rotate at captain. Kupp, Samuel, Wilson Jr. And then we gave 13 total guys that we would play. 11 of them, 4 of them were the kicker and the defense, 7 of them were guys that could be in that script, and then we also were considering 2 punts. A guy like a Juszczyk, a guy like whoever your favorite punts are. Marlon Mack, perhaps, if you want to go that way. Juwan Jennings, whoever you like down there, right? Really, the only big names that we were kind of staying off of in that one were Ayuk, and I assume we're both kind of off Allen Robinson in that build too, right?
I mean, you can play him as a one-off, but you can't play because if you think of a low-scoring game, it has to be even if you think they score 17 points from the Rams, it still has to be Kupp, Robinson, Stafford, and no other Rams or something.
Yeah.
It's really hard to have a consolidated low-scoring game.
And no Garoppolo either. So in that build, we would basically be staying off Garoppolo, we'd be staying off Ayuk, and we would be staying off Robinson would kind of be our big fades because in that build, those guys are a lot less likely to get there. And you can't just fucking play everybody. If you're going to do that, well, then why even worry about a script? Just fucking throw them together and see what sticks to the wall, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Woody, for the win. In a 3 max, are 3 lineups with a tight core or 3 unique lineups a better strategy? I'll give my answer, and then John will give his. If I'm playing a 3 max and I'm building 3 lineups, I like to build a tight core. I would say this is how I think this game's going to play out, and I would probably legit have 4 guys, the exact same 4 guys in all 3 of those lineups, and then just mix and match those other 2 spots as peripheral pieces that could also play out if this guy gets the big catch instead of this guy or something like that. What say you, John?
If I was only doing 3 lineups, I would do what you just said. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I think that's because I'm fairly willing to lose on a slate. If you're a little more risk adverse, that's definitely not the quote unquote right answer, right? It really depends on how risk adverse you are. If you want to spread it out a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. Just realize you are making 3 distinct bets with only one little small bet on your bet, where what we were talking about, playing one script and playing it pretty tight in those 3 lineups with only maybe 2 pieces of differentiation, is just saying I'm comfortable losing if my script doesn't hit, but if my script does hit, I want to give myself 3 shots on goal.
All right, so let's see. Let's get a couple more questions in. Jimmy loves Jennings, according to Nick. Nick coming in with the hot takes today. He already gave us the Marlon Mack. Now he's giving us the Juwan Jennings has a secret love affair with Jimmy G. DePeach says, thank you. Appreciate it. No problem. Good luck with the double D tonight. Helps us to frame the approach. I usually play single entry, hence the question. Got it. And then Nick says, when y'all say get there as per what they cost, can you explain that? Juice, if he gets 2 carries for 3 yards and a TD, is that getting there for the price? So getting there usually means okay, the old way of thinking about getting there is you want your guy to get usually 5x whatever his salary is, right? But the problem with that is with these really dramatic differences in pricing, you can't have a $200 guy get 1 point and think you're golden, right? That would be the 5X rule. So I think when I say get there, now what I mean is they outscored their peers in that same price range, right? They did better. If you're going to play Kupp at captain, he has to score higher than everybody else adjusted to price per dollar. Okay, Kupp could score 30 and George Kittle could score 25. You'd probably be better having George Kittle at the captain than Kupp because it's going to free up so much more salary for you to get other players to offset those few points that you lost at the 1.5x. So that's what I mean when I say get there. What do you say, John?
No, that totally makes sense because in any given slate, the amount of points needed to quote get there can vary wildly. We saw yesterday, 250 points win a GPP. Whereas a couple of weeks ago, we saw low 200s, high 180s were winning GPP. So it's like week by week, it depends on what you need to quote get there. In a showdown slate, like exactly what you said, you need him to just outscore his peers, because in a low scoring slate, like the guy that scores 2 or 3 points could be enough to get there if he's like the low price piece that lets you get the only other guys that score fantasy points. Whereas in a super high scoring slate, that low price guy, even if he gets a 5 burger, that may not be, or a 10 burger or whatever, they may not be enough, because everyone else has put up 17, 18, 19, 20 points, and then you have a 40 guy that you have to have. And so there's and I can't even imagine what the showdown optimal was for that Seattle Detroit game yesterday. It had to look insane because of the amount of fantasy points that were scored. So the way of thinking about it, like you said, like outscoring your peers is a super good way to think about it.
Wasn't the game last night the same way? Tons of guys scoring in that Chiefs and Bucks game?
I don't know. I didn't play Showdown last night because I went to the Panthers game. Got home too late to do anything, and then
who won? Did the Panthers win? I fucking
shut up! Don't rub it in.
No, I legit swear to God, I fell asleep for like 4 hours. I was so exhausted from the weekend. I don't even know who won the afternoon games.
Oh well, no, our Panthers didn't win then.
They get their asses kicked.
No, it was 10-10 to start the fourth quarter. Anyways, yeah, no, they played like shit and they almost won. Our defense is like outscoring our offense on the regular. It's pathetic.
All right, guys, he's got to get his kid to the baseball. He's got a little one that's the next. They've called him the next Mark McGuire, and so he's got to go watch him hit bombs. Any closing thoughts you want to drop on him, John?
No, I think this is like a pretty fun GPP slate. It's a game I'm like looking forward to watching as a fan. I think, as gross as it sounds, like I think kickers and defenses are very viable. I'm not going to play either at the captain, but I wouldn't hate you if you did, I guess. Yeah, that's it.
All right, I got one last question for you. If I've got strong conviction, should I just go toss in a high dollar GPP tonight, or should I just stick to like just the 20 maxes and 3 maxes and shit like that?
Oh, if you got convictions, just go play one turn, one lineup. Do it, man.
Let's see. What's the best single entry that's high dollar? They got like a good 200. There's a $100 one. That looks good.
There's 100 big field that has like over 1,000 people. I think that one's pretty good.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that one. Let's see how's the payout structure in it?
The normal, it's good.
20. Oh yeah, fuck yeah. I'm just gonna play that tonight. Let's see. I'm gonna go build it.
You can do that, and then there's a $50 that's the same size field, like 1,000, like 1,100, I think it is. That $50, so you could do like a slight variant in that. And then there's that $20 1,000 field 3 max. That's pretty good if you wanted to only do like a couple lineups.
Oh fuck! I just built a lineup I fucking love. Fuck.
Pray tell. What, drop some knowledge on us. I mean, we like lineups too.
Hold on.
No one dupe them.
No, I spent too much. Let's see. Hold on.
Well, yeah, I like $60,000 lineups too.
Man, I'm playing that slog lineup. I get it'd be so duped. All right, so here's the one I built. Right, I can't say it, but Cup at the captain, Samuel and Wilson, both defenses, and then I have 5,600 left over, and I went with a tight end that's right below that.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that lineup I've already built as well.
Yeah, that's a 270 person dupe train lineup right there.
No, so that's my problem in putting it in my set. Is I like that lineup so much, and that was like what I initially hand built. And like I've done variants of that lineup, but yeah.
See, if I drop down to here, if I go, I like this one more. I'd rather leave the 1,600 on the table and go move down to the kicker there.
Yep.
Let's see.
I've done that as well.
Hold on. Oh no. I like this one even more. Fuck me. Kick out the Rams defense, put in the 49ers kicker. So now you've got Higbee and Cup, and you run it back with 4 Niners.
Yeah. I mean,
fuck, I like that one. But it does spend all the salary, so that's another.
The only problem is Higbee and Cup get there. It's sort of hard for Stafford not to also get there. I mean, I guess playing the Niners defense helps because he could throw a couple picks.
All right, fine. Then I'll play Gay.
Yeah.
So now I've got 2 kickers, a defense, 2 usage monsters, and the running back for the 49ers, who I'm playing the script that they're going to control the game and win 14-10.
Yeah, and Stafford gets Cup gets the only offensive.
Well, I probably need it to be 14-13 because I need that fucking kicker to get me 2 field goals. Oh, wait. No, I need it to be 20-13 because they each need to get 2 field goals. No, 16-13. That's what I need. 16-13.
All right. I mean, that's well within the range of outcomes I've been building, so I like it.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go eat some dinner and fucking think about it. All right, guys. Good luck tonight. You have questions, put it in the chat. Me and John will try to get back to you. He's got to go watch people hit home runs. I've got to go cook dinner because the big guy hasn't ate in like 24 hours and he's getting fucking hangry. So I think that's it. Thanks for being on here, John. Don't forget, tomorrow we do the week-long preview over on the YouTubes for Week 5. So be looking out for that. We'll talk to you guys later.